lineup tonight, Coach? Is there any? Do you have any options for changes?
Broussard out, Gambrell in. Everything else is the same.
Going with Forsberg in goal.
Yep.
What do you need to see from your team that maybe you didn't see last night?
Well, I think a lot is made that we're not scoring enough. 5-on-5, we get one yesterday. You got to give up less. I think when your focus becomes scoring, all of a sudden you're given 7 odd man rushes. They gave us 8, and it's flip a coin as to who's going to score. And they scored on 2 of those rushes, and we scored on 1 of them. And ultimately you lose. We lose a special teams battle. But we're moving on to Winnipeg. I watched them play their last couple games. They're as good offensively as a 5-man unit as I've seen maybe. I know they didn't get the results in Toronto, but watching their game as a whole, they're big, they're strong. They're a real team in this league, and clearly they are in the standings. But this for me is a real test for our group, and on a back-to-back, they're coming in hungry. We're going to have to be dialed right in, detailed as to exactly how they play, how to stop them from scoring, and then take the opportunities when they're there, and then be harder at both nets. I don't think we were hard enough at our own net last game.
Pretty good test for both, for everybody involved in your team. What about Josh Norris? What are you seeing from him? And I think tonight's his 3rd game back.
I thought he had a really good first game. Typical your second game, there's a little letdown, just because the adrenaline and what have you is not there. I think tonight he just goes back to being a hockey player. He can skate all day. His conditioning's superb. Back-to-back won't bother him. And we're just a better team with him. I mean, you just look at our record with him, without him. That line will click eventually. I thought they were real good at home, just okay last game. But I think he'll be much better tonight.
3 and 4, but you have a break. Any reason for any letdown for you guys, like after tonight?
Yeah, we're gonna play. Whoever's playing's gonna play lots tonight. You have 3 days off in between games, and then you've got yourself 4 games to the break. And we've talked about wanting to be 500 or better in January. We're 4 and 5. Yesterday was a tough one, and it will continue to be a battle. And I think if we can be 500 or above, we give ourselves a chance. But that starts with having to push yourself to win games like tonight.
Forsberg, you need Forsberg to be at his best, obviously.
We need both of them to be at our best, and that Forsey has played some really good games against Winnipeg, and he, typically when he gets a couple days, he gets himself really dialed in, and I would suspect that he's ready to go here tonight.
When you talk about yesterday being a tough one, I'm guessing that's in regards to the standings. Just how much is that what you were referencing?
No, just yeah. I mean, yeah, you're looking at the standings, but I mean, we looked at it as a mini playoff series. I think, we win at home, they win at home. I thought probably a better fate than having to win in overtime at home, to be honest with you, the way we played. We split, that's fine. We wanted both. That's disappointing. I just thought we give up too many odd man rushes. If you did that in an actual playoff series, you'd lose every time. So we know that Winnipeg, can capitalize on odd man rushes. If you give them to them, they're really going to burn you. So, you get yourself a win tonight and you turn the page. Hockey, whether you win or lose, the next day has to be just the same. And that's what, we've struggled with at times as a young group. You win, you're too high, you lose, you're too low. I think it's a great night. You got the country night here tonight, sold out crowd for our guys. They're young. They tend to feed to these kind of theme nights and the energy, being younger guys that haven't, done this their whole career, especially with the COVID and maybe the lack of fans, in the last few years. Nights like this, typically we have a lot of energy.
Winnipeg is a team that when they shoot, they don't miss often. I think they're in the bottom half of the league for shot attempts per game, but in the top 10 for goals. How important is it going to be to have a full defensive effort, not just the blue liners, but the forwards as well? And how much does Matthew Joseph's two-way play factor into that?
Well, we're going to need him, and I was talking to Mott today. He's getting a bit closer. There's some guys coming back. Even strength, expected goals for, they're 16th in the league. We're 14th in the league, but they're shooting in the net at, I think, the 5th best in the league. But you've got, guys that can shoot it in the net over there. And we've got to do a better job of putting it in the net and not just getting the chances and being happy with it. We know what kind of chances they get, and we're going to do our best to try and limit those.
As you mentioned, you said it's a bit of a highs, lows. The Jets haven't been happy with the last stretch of games, particularly the last two on this 5-game road trip. What kind of team are you expecting tonight?
Oh, they're going to be hungry, and they're going to be forechecking, and they're going to be banging, and that's perfect for us because when there's emotion involved, I think typically Brady gets right into it, and Brady drags the crew kind of with him, and all of a sudden we've got ourselves a real physical game. And then you've got Waddy and you got Kastelik and you got these guys that are forechecking and blocking shots. That's when we're at our best. And our D are boxing out, and I think Winnipeg's going to bring out the best in us tonight.
Busier crowds. I know you touched on it before, but your Canadian market, it's important to have that kind of fanfare. What has it done for this team?
Well, it's significant difference. I mean, I think the Boston game being the best one of the year, that first game, our players had never experienced that really. Sold out, people fully behind them. We've had sellout crowds, say against Montreal or teams that, they're cheering for the Habs. And, we had another game in here, I think it was San Jose earlier in the year where it was a Saturday and the place was packed and they were buzzing and the players respond to it. And, they not only want to win, but they want to win for the city of Ottawa and the fans. They like being a part of this. They know it's not always easy, but, I know they're disappointed when we don't give a good effort.
Favorite country too?
You know what? I'm not a huge country guy, even though I grew up in the country, in the county. Sorry, back in Windsor. But maybe whiskey on the bottle. My buddies love it, so they play it all summer. So you kind of fall in love with some of the stuff. I'm more of an '80s oldies guy, but I just love the energy that it brings and the excitement. People will be all fired up, and the music will be going, and this is what really sports is all about. People get to get out on a Saturday night, and we're going to do everything we can to get them a win.